Rhett Power, welcome to the podcast, brother.
Michael, thank you, man. It's nice to be
Yeah.
here.
Rhett Power is the CEO and co-founder of Accountability, a leadership consultancy that has advised global giants, including the United States Department of State, United Airlines, McDonald's, FIFA, and Vodafone. A six-time founder, best-selling author, and respected Rolling Stone and Forbes columnist, Rhett is recognized by global gurus as one of the world's leading management and startup thinkers and was named the #1 thought leader on entrepreneurship by Thinkers 360. He is a member of Marshall Goldsmith's 100 Coaches and a fellow at the Institute of Coaching at McLean Hospital, a Harvard Medical School affiliate. A sought-after global speaker, Rhett has developed keynotes at premier events such as SXSW, TEDx, Web Summit, and the World Economic Forum in Davos. His third book, Headamentals, which debuted October 2025, explores how self-talk shapes leadership and performance and introduces the groundbreaking concept of team think to transform organizational culture. So you have a book coming out, brother, Headamentals.
Yes,
First
sir.
and foremost, how did you get started with your first startup? Going to go back to the very, very beginning, how all of this started.
Well, I learned a long time ago to follow your gut. And I learned pretty early in life that when I followed that intuition or that feeling that we all have, that it's time to make a transition, there's a time for a new thing. When I didn't follow that, things didn't go so great for me. When I learned to follow that, and I learned to listen to what my intuition was saying and learned to listen to what my heart and my mind was saying, things went really well. So I was with USAID. I was actually in Afghanistan at the time. And
What were you doing in Afghanistan?
So I was with USAID, and we were doing a trade, helping bring trade between the countries in Central Asia. And I spent about 7 years in the region with the government. But every Friday night, a friend of mine and I, a colleague that I worked with, we talked about what it would be like to start a business. And we kept talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. And finally, we just said, we looked at each other one Friday night over a couple of beers and some pizza. And we said, you know what, we got to stop talking about this, because we either have to do it or we have to shut up, because
You're in Afghanistan thinking about the American dream, to be an entrepreneur. Huh? I love it.
And so, we ended up doing it and quitting our jobs, and
Very nice.
People thought we were crazy. And maybe to an extent, you have to be a little crazy to be an entrepreneur. I've sort of believed that now. You got to be a little delusional. And
it's more of a question of scope. If you're thinking of it in the short term, you have like a decent paying job. You don't have to worry about your paycheck month to month. Why would you disrupt that? Right.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
There's no safety in it, right? You were giving up really good jobs and really careers, not really jobs. We were giving up careers to do this. And, we took a chance, and we looked at a bunch of different things. And the funniest story that I have about becoming an entrepreneur is one of the first businesses we looked at was a dead body removal company. Now, this guy was retiring. He had contracts with the state and the counties, and he had a patent on a body bag. I mean, he had a $3.5 million EBITDA. And, by all intents and purposes, this was a great business. But getting excited about dead body removal was, let's just say, not something I could get.
It's a hard sales pitch to your friends of why you're going to change your whole lifestyle to start doing that.
Yeah. I mean, we looked at a bunch of different things, a bunch of construction things. And then I remember talking to my attorney one Friday afternoon, I think it was. And he said, I got this business. I'm going to show it to you. But he's a longtime friend. He said, if you buy this business, I'm going to disown you. This business is terrible. This business is terrible. Of course, that's the one we bought, and that's the one we absolutely fell in love with. And it was a little one-product toy company in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. He made these things during the week, and he'd been a former professor of biology or something at the university there. And so we took it, we figured out how to scale it and grow it. 3 years later, we made that the toy product of the year in the United States. And that really catapulted the company. I mean, we struggled massively in those 3 years with the business model, the delivery model, all of that. But once we figured it out, we were able to scale it really pretty fast. And that led us to be able to start creating new product and new toys and actually get credibility in the industry and build a reputation and ultimately getting it into Target and Walmart and Animal Planet and like all the places. And that's what really took it off. That's what that's how we grew from a company that was barely making $100,000 a year to going to Toy Fair in 2010, I think, and going in $100,000 company, coming out a $9 million company, and then being able to grow it into 20 and 30 and 50 and beyond. And so that was sort of how I got into entrepreneurship, and it was a tough road, and
can I ask you a question?
Lessons. Yeah.
Sorry to interject.
Yeah.
I am curious. So how much, what was so you started off making 100,000 and you moved to how many million did you say?
We went into Toy Fair that year down into our last $4,000. We actually slept in our vans in New York City because Toy Fair was at the Javits Center. And we actually slept in our vans in New Jersey and had a tiny little table in the back corner of Toy Fair. But what happened was one of our best customers, one of our only customers, she got elected as president of the Small Toy Store Association. And she stood up in their annual general meeting and said, "You've got to buy this toy. It's the only thing in the middle of the recession that's selling in my store. It's keeping my store open."
Right.
And we walked out of there with contracts with about 200, 300, 400 toy stores, and then Brookstone and a couple other bigger retailers.
So at your peak, what were you generating in terms of revenue?
We were doing $50 million a year. Yeah.
So my question to you is, what sort of internal challenges or even external challenges do you face? Was it kind of like the same problems, just maybe a little bit of scaling, or did you have a unique set of challenges making your first million, then making your 10 million, and then your 50 million? Growing a company, people think it's just more of the same, but it seems like that scalability and the kind of challenges you face are fundamentally different from like your first million to your 10th million. And I'm curious your perspective on that.
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of work with startups now, right? That's one of our core things that we do at Accountability Inc. And, every company's unique and every company faces its different challenges. But I would say that there's generally, in a sort of a general way, there are those hurdles and there are those sort of inflection points, that first million and then the 10 million and then the 20 and 30 and 50 million. There's all come with unique challenges because, I'm helping a company in Miami right now. It's grown in the last 2 years that we've been working with. It's grown from a $10 million company now to a $60 million company now. And you got to have systems. You got to have the systems to support it. You got to have the talent to support it, right? One of the toughest things that we ever faced was the team that we started with wasn't the team that was going to take us to $50 million or $100 million or grow, to an exit. And so all along, those people that have been really loyal to you, but don't have the skill set to help carry the business. That was one of the toughest lessons I learned in that first business was that
that's so interesting.
Your talent as you grow and you scale and you grow bigger and you have bigger contracts and you have bigger, you're doing bigger things. When we were first starting out and we were driving our product everywhere, that was one thing. But when we were shipping it, when we were the largest shipper in that region for FedEx, we had to have shipping people and we had to have production people and production line people and packaging experts and, all the things that you start needing and then, trying to figure out how do you maintain your culture and how do you manage all those new people when you don't have a bench, to support all those new people and, how do you onboard those people? And It comes with a bunch of new challenges and I'd say the same thing, with when you start hiring people, it's a whole other set of challenges.
Is there like a common denominator or a constant issue you see across the board when you're looking at new companies? You're like, oh, like I see this all the time. It's like the number one issue. Uh, I wonder if there is.
You see a lot of things. I think I know one of the things that was in our way was us, um, because we had put everything into it, right? And you want to have and be involved in everything, and you want to be involved and watch everything and manage everything and be a good leader. But sometimes you get in your own way and you get in the way of your people performing the job that
Right.
you hired them to do. And so I think that's one of the things I coach around a lot, particularly with new entrepreneurs, is at some point the best advice I ever got was, Rhett, you've got to stop driving the truck. You've got to get off the production line. You've got to get off the delivery vans. You need to be managing strategically,
Right.
right? You need to hire the people to do those jobs so that you can do the big stuff and the strategic stuff and I think that's hard. It's hard to let
Yeah.
go of the doing and become more strategic.
Yeah, I call that like your uniqueness factor. I mean, it's
Yeah,
like what what about you got to look at yourself in the mirror every morning and say what is absolutely unique that's hard to replace about what I do and what can be patternized and delegated. And I think
right.
that's not a one-time thing. It's a constant process you have to constantly be focusing on. And I was just talking to someone yesterday. I'm like, you can have the problem I would see is kind of like this inversely related relationship between being highly skilled or having a high level of functioning or aptitude in a certain discipline and then being less of a team player. And I
Mhm.
feel like a lot of these startups and companies have these extremely unique and bright individuals at the upper echelons, and they might be really good at solving problems in a very narrow vertical, but then when it comes to being relatable and digestible to the world around them, they tend to struggle a little more. And I said, "Doc, we're often best defined by our weakest attribute.
Mhm.
And if you can't take complex ideas and make them digestible and easily understood by people who don't understand your niche esoteric world, you'll always lose to someone who can do that." And
Yeah.
I feel like if you're going to look for a common denominator, across startups and innovative, ecosystems, you're going to probably see a lot of that where people have a hard time
Oh
working
yeah.
together. And, there are these companies that might not have like the brightest minds, but they're an awesome team and they love each other's presence and there's a lot of internal fluidity. And those companies are more likely to find success.
Yeah. I mean, I call that a got your back culture, not a watch your back culture, right? And the teams
Mm,
that have that sort of culture really do succeed. Look, I to your point, like I had trouble communicating. I remember we had a pretty, let's just say, this was a delivery company, so we didn't have the most skilled people. We had great people; they were wonderful people. But I remember coming in one of the first week we were there. We had a 600-page business plan that we came in with, and we started with a SWOT analysis. And I remember we had four people sitting around the room, and my business partner and I, we came from the consulting world and the business world and trade and all this, and we were trying to apply these business school, you know, ideas to a bunch of people who'd never been asked an opinion on how we were going to make this company successful. And I remember taking a break about an hour or two in, and we're like, nobody's getting this. Nobody's understanding what we're trying to do here. So I remember walking back in the room. I said, I'm going to do something that's kind of funny. You guys are going to laugh. But I wrote 1 million on the board. And I said, by the end of next year, I'm going to sell 1 million of these products. And it was, everybody thought it was funny. And they had never even gotten close to that with the prior owner. But they understood it as something we could wrap our heads around. And it became the goal. It became the mantra. How are we going to do this? All hands on deck to make this happen. And we ended up selling, I think, 9 or 10 million of them. But the point was we had to really narrow it down into this like simple idea or simple
mm.
goal that we could obtain. So,
Yeah, I mean, you can only obtain so much theory through academia, but at the end of the day, it's sometimes it's got to work in parallel with that inner voice that helps you navigate those
Yeah.
waters. And I
Yeah.
think you talk about your inner voice a lot. I kind of want to take a step back here because we kind of jumped ahead of ourselves, because
Yep.
I asked you about your first company and then we got all excited and we started talking about your consulting work. But yeah, like, tell me a little bit about your consulting company, how it started, and then I want to kind of jump into your book that's coming out, because
Yeah.
there's just a lot going on.
Appreciate it. Well, after I sold the second company, it was another company. And then in 2014, we sold another company. I was I was on a panel out at Stanford, uh, and one of the people on the panel, we started talking about what was next, and what was I going to do with myself? Sort of that existential question,
Right.
what's next? You going to retire? What's next? And so, and it ended up leading to this. Many conversations later, introductions to Marshall Goldsmith and
Hmm.
the coaching community. It really, the idea of helping other entrepreneurs go through what we've been through and helping them through those processes and through that growth was something that was really appealing. I had no idea that I could make a business out of that, but um, I would never do anything else. I don't want to start another company. I want to help other people through the consulting and helping people put processes in place that help them grow, help them find the right team and the right people, and train the right people, onboard the right in the right way, set goals and objectives in the right way so that they can succeed. So that's what we do, and that led, the first company. Actually, we were an Inc. 500 company a couple years in a row, and that actually led to writing
Awesome.
a column at Inc. magazine. That's where the writing started. And that led to writing for, Inc. and Rolling Stone and Forbes and a bunch of other things,
Awesome.
writing a couple books. So this is the third book. And it led to Head of Mentals. And Head of Mentals came from a lot of the work I do with entrepreneurs, because it is a head game. And it is, if you don't understand how much your self-talk actually impacts your performance and the performance of others,
Hmm.
then it's a something that you really should start thinking about, because it is an issue, and is something that impacts success, and sort of leads to success or failure. So,
Yeah. So help me understand how your inner voice navigates your life.
well, we all have a relationship with ourselves and with our self-talk.
Hmm.
Um, I think
It almost comes to like that more abstract concept of consciousness, of
it
like, who are you
100%.
talking to? Like, there's two people here. Like, what's going on?
Right. Well, there's a monster and there's a maverick kind of on both shoulders, right?
Hmm.
And so if we let that conversation take us in directions, if we let that monster, or that person that's there, or that thing that's there, consciousness that's there, um, rule our head, and rule our actions, and rule our day. Um, what we have to understand is that voice is there to protect you. So the conversation it's going to have with you is about protection.
Hmm.
It's about safety, because that's sort of your monkey mind that's saying there's a saber-toothed tiger right around that corner. You better be careful. You better not go that way. Right. That's something that's probably been in Homo sapiens and humans and prehistoric, people, um, since we came into being. But I think, you've got to learn to understand what it's telling you, and you got to learn to have a better conversation with it, and say, I understand. Thank you for warning me off, but this is the right thing for me to be doing. This is the right action for me to take right now. You got to learn to, I don't want to say control it, but have a better conversation, and not let that voice dictate how you operate and navigate the world, because it's there to protect you. And as you know, as an entrepreneur, it's not always the safe choice. It's not always the
Interesting.
safe thing to do. There's no guarantee, right? And so We can't let
Well,
fears
it's
sort
almost like
of,
there's two of those voices. There's the voice
yeah,
of doubt, and then there's the voice of like, fuck it, it's time to do it, right?
yeah. That's
And
your
it's
maverick voice.
right,
That's your, that's the one
right.
that's the one that you want to bring out and learn to bring out more often.
But there's a science there because there's a push and pull. There's an equilibrium. There's
Hmm.
you kind of like the science. I think would be to like learn when to listen to which.
Yeah. Well, yes. eh, there are times when you need to, if you're about to walk out into the street and get hit by a car, you
Right.
need to listen to the one that says, "Hey," you know. Um, but I think other times you can have a healthier conversation because a lot of people's self-talk is pretty self-destructive. I'm not good enough. Do I deserve to be in
Right.
this room? Do I
Right.
deserve to get that sale? Do I deserve this? Or am I, good looking enough or pretty enough or, smart enough or whatever the dialogue that you're having. And what we found fascinating, because this book started as a self-talk book, but as we started getting into it, what we found was, so you as a leader, if you have negative self-talk, you impact your team,
Hmm.
right? It impacts your team's culture. It impacts their self-talk. It impacts their confidence, their ability to be innovative, and it actually impacts productivity and ultimately the bottom line. And I was really shocked because nobody's really talked about this. And um, if you can master head mentals, I mean, it unlocks performance because it replaces that self-doubt that leaders sometimes have, and the fear. I mean, it replaces self-doubt and fear with clarity and confidence. It gives you confidence.
Hmm.
It gives you. It's like the difference between a winning team, a championship team, and a team that's 0-11,
And you
right?
can feel that difference. Like you don't even
Abs-
have to read their mind. You can tell.
yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that's
I
yeah,
mean, it's
it's
a missing link between, I think, potential and execution.
hmm. I like the way you frame that. That's really interesting. But the voice of self-doubt is can almost feel impossible to defeat. I mean, the question of, hey, are you good enough, or imposter syndrome and all that, for many people it's a fight that's too big to win. And I wonder
Yeah.
how people begin to get the confidence to approach that.
Well, I think, look, it's not about defeating it because it's always going to be with you. It's a part of you, who you are. It's a part of
Mhm.
the challenge is we have a method called the 3C method: catch, confront, and then change. It's about changing the habits that you let it control,
I
right?
see.
The actions that you let it control. So it's about you taking the time and having the discipline to say, okay, now I'm in, I can't do that, or I can't figure this out, or I failed and I messed that up. And, you know, I'm not good enough to be in this room and all that stuff that starts. So you learn to catch that talk, then confront it and say, okay, is this really, I'm in this room, so I deserve to be here, or, you know,
Right.
I did all this work to get in this room. So absolutely. So it's changing it, confronting it and saying, and challenging the narrative that is given you. And then, you know, taking the narrative after you've reframed it and saying, okay, let me change the behavior that it's causing. So there is a method to it. It's a method that I think, with some work and some self-work, that it can give you better results. Particularly if this is something that really gets in your way as a leader, or gets in your way and holds you back from where you want to be, then this method, I think, can help you
Right.
at least understand the behavior that you have, and try to correct it.
Right. So how has the what was Rhett Power's
Mhm.
greatest inner voice, and how did he navigate those waters, and when did they come out, and what was your most significant challenge if you had to look back?
I think learning, excuse me, I think learning to listen to the to the side that says, take that chance. I think early in my 20s, I had some really good mentors. I had some really good coaches. I was a college athlete and an athlete in high school, and I learned, um, it's the learning to trust yourself and have confidence in yourself. And, since I've been able to do that, I really, although there were hard moments in business and hard moments in life and hard moments, tough conversations, tough decisions. Um, when I learned to listen to that voice that was saying, "Do it. You can do that. You can accomplish that." And that voice was more prevalent than the one over here that says, "Don't do that. Don't, you're going to fail, or you're going to get in trouble, or you're going to, that's not going to work." Um, probably in my 20s, I really started thinking about, you know, this one is letting me lead the life that I want. And the one over here is going to stop me from living the life that I want by doing the things that I want to try and do. Um, and this one over here, um, I might fail and I might, make some bad calls, but I also don't want to sit on my porch when I'm 80 years old and have regrets that I didn't try something.
Right.
Right. And so learning to listen to that voice more in my 20s is really given me the the ability to design the life that I love and that I designed the life that I wanted to have. And, uh, that's sort of the result is that you have a better life,
Right.
you're able to do the things that you want to do and make the dreams reach the goals that you want to achieve. And so, that's the end result, you know?
Right. So, where would you see yourself in 10 years from now?
Yeah.
Just like that moment where you went to the company and you said that I want to make 1 million sales by next year.
Yeah.
Uh, and I hope they hit that. I hope that that milestone was almost laughable and they laughed for the opposite reasons once the year passed by. I have the same similar question to you. I mean, in 10 years from now,
Mhm.
where do you see yourself?
The funny thing is I don't have, this master life plan.
Hmm.
Um, and people sort of say, "Really? You don't have a?" I have things I want to do. I mean, one of my big life goals is to sail around the world. So,
That sounds awesome, by the way.
hopefully I've achieved that. Um, you know, I'm at this stage in my life where I want to work with the people I want to work with. I want to have family and good friends, and uh, not focused on legacy. I don't want to say that because I don't believe in trying to work towards some legacy. I think that's a waste of time. But I think, happiness and freedom, and the freedom to do what I want when I want to do it, freedom to help, um, help others and make a difference in this world, whatever that looks like.
Hmm.
Um, And so that's really the goal is that I have an organization down in Panama that we work with kids and introducing them to nature. That's an important piece. You know, I'd love to see us be able to talk to one another these days. I've got a TEDx talk coming out pretty soon about how we should be talking to each other as opposed to, um, all this sort of ugliness and the way we handle differences. But so that's the life goal. And if I am enjoying the work still, I'll be doing this work. If not, I won't be. So um, that's sort of the game plan, I think.
Well, Rhett, where can people find you if they want to reach out?
You can rhetpower.com, very easy. The headamentals.com is just like it spelled just like it sounds. The book is obviously on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and sort of everywhere where books are sold. It'll be in stores on the 28th. And so, you can Google me. I'm easy to find on the internet. If you want to talk about coaching or having accountability, come in and help. We'd be delighted to have a conversation. And Michael, I appreciate the time and access to your people and to your audience, and appreciate the invitation.
Of course, Rhett, I appreciate your wisdom and your time as well. It's been an honest pleasure, and I look forward to seeing all the great stuff that's ahead. And good luck with your book.
I appreciate it. Thank you.